Finally, best bets of the weekend here on today's show. We got 5 plays here this week. Look, we went 0-5 last week. That's not good. That's not good at all. And we were just at the point where we were just about at 500, ready to go on this run. It's crazy about sports gambling. That was probably the best I had felt about a slate of picks going into a weekend. Went 0-5. So I had to call in some help here for this week. Shout out to Will Johnston, one of my best friends in the world. He helped me put together this week's slate, and we feel good about it going into this week here. Look, Indiana, Penn State, first game. We got 3 college plays, by the way, and 2 NFL plays on this slate. Indiana, they're going to Penn State. They're going to Happy Valley. What did I just say when we previewed the Indiana Hoosiers and the Penn State and Indy Lions? Indiana doesn't just beat teams. They beat the crap out of teams. And Signetti, man, he's on a mission. He's looking to get to Indianapolis because he wants Ohio State. That's what he wants. And he wants an undefeated Ohio State, and he wants to be undefeated when he plays Ohio State there as well. And they're going to come in. They're locked. They're laser focused. Sometimes with these teams that are winning a lot, you have worries about them potentially becoming complacent, right? Complacent tendencies against lesser competition. I don't know what Signetti's telling them during the week, but they're not complacent whatsoever. They come in, they're mean, they start out strong, and they score points, and they defend, and they hit you hard, right? And I'm expecting more of that here. 14.5 is a big number with some NFL guys on the field for Penn State. It's an environment, obviously. It's something that Fernando Mendoza and company going to have to deal with, but it's a noon game, right? It's not Happy Valley at night. I think they will navigate that just fine. They'll run the ball. They'll throw the ball. Surratt, he's up in the air with the hamstring. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not a big deal. It certainly is. And, we'll see if they protect him. Because, those hamstrings obviously can linger, and they definitely want him for the home stretch because he is unbelievable at that wide receiver position. But I'm laying the 14.5. Give me the Hoosiers on the road. I think they continue their hot streak. I think they continue their run of domination. And I think as a college football fan, we're all hoping for Ohio State, Indiana, Big Ten championship, a couple of unbeaten teams. Obviously, we'll see if Ohio State can handle Michigan for the first time in, 10, 15 years. But looking forward to potentially that happening. So, Signetti, minus 14.5. Give me the Hoosiers. Called it my favorite game of the weekend. A lot of people are on Iowa in this spot, and so am I, right? Kinnick Stadium, it's the real deal, man. It's a tough place to play. Kirk Ferentz, this is the best group that he's had in a few years here. Look, Iowa wins this game. It's time to start talking about them as being a potential playoff team. Now, if they get blown out by Oregon, which I think is a possibility, right? If that happens, then obviously, we all laugh at that. But I think the Hawkeyes are a solid team. Really good defense. They run the football with their quarterback. Good special teams. They feast on turnovers. They capitalize when they force turnovers. And if they can start out strong in the first quarter and apply some pressure here, get that crowd going into the game, that weather, that rain starts coming down. Oh, it's getting cold. Oh, it's borderline sleet at Kinnick Stadium. Oregon kind of backs against the wall here. Maybe that can help them out here. I don't love all the noise and all the love that Iowa's gotten here going in this game because it's just a bunch of juice for Dan Lanning, and best believe he's feeding that to his team here throughout the course of this week. I guarantee you he played the Herb Street clip of him picking Iowa on the McAfee show. His team has seen that. They're ticked off about it, and I expect them to show up ready to play here in this game. But so's Iowa. This is a huge game in the Big Ten, and this is kind of the great stuff about conference realignment. Like, who would have thought that Oregon-Iowa would be a big-time game? Well, here we are. Here it is at Iowa. Oregon has to come to Kinnick Stadium. Give me the Hawkeyes, man. Plus 6.5. I'm not ready to say they go out there and cover. But, go out there and win the game outright. But I do think they cover the spread. Give me the Hawkeyes plus 6.5. Texas Tech versus BYU in Lubbock, right? The CFP rankings have BYU a notch above Texas Tech. I get it. They're undefeated. Texas Tech is not. They lost to Arizona State. Mind you, that wasn't Barrett Morton pulling the trigger there of their offense. That was a Will Hammond-led team, who, by the way, had a really solid year at filling in as the backup. He got hurt, but now Barrett Morton, he should be good. He should be good to go. He's banged up too still. But Joey McGuire, what he's done down at Texas Tech, it's a real defense. They get after the passer. They stop the run. And I just think they're a far superior football team. And if this game was, at BYU, maybe I feel a little bit different. But Lubbock, they're going to be rocking. I know it's just a noon game, but it's a top 10 matchup. Game day going to be there. I think it's going to be a tremendous football game. And I'm laying the 10 points here with Texas Tech. Give me the Red Raiders minus 10. All right, 2 NFL plays here on the show. Lions and Commanders in Washington. Lions coming off a loss against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm laying the 7.5 here with Detroit. I absolutely am doing it. I believe Dan Campbell, coming off a loss, is 12-0 against the spread in his last 12 games. I believe that is the stat. And obviously, that's a pretty significant stat here. Look, they're going to be ticked off and ready to go here in this game. Minnesota, yeah, they're a feisty team. That's a tough place to play, by the way, at Minnesota. Not easy. I understand that. Flores runs a complicated scheme there defensively. They had some juice there from McCarthy. O'Connell called a great game, but Dan Campbell's ticked off about that because the Lions believe they're one of the best teams in the National Football League. And you look down, it's like, well, you've lost a few games here. If you're Detroit here at this point, I think they're going to go in there, and I think they're going to smack Washington. I don't think it's going to be close whatsoever. The public is all over the Lions, which I don't love, but I'm going to join them here in this situation. -7.5. The Commanders are in shambles, right? You know, we talked about it. No Jaden Daniels, obviously. Mariota is going to be their quarterback, who's one of the best backups in the league, I think. But they haven't been able to run the ball well. They haven't been able to get the ball to their skill guys. But I think the biggest takeaway is their defense stinks, right? Dan Quinn's the defensive guy, and they go out there and they spend some money there on defense. They're aggressive. Kind of blows up in their face. You know, sometimes this happens in the National Football League where you have a team where they go far in the playoffs and they kind of go all in and say, here we go for the next few years, and it doesn't work. It ain't working here this year for the Washington Commanders. We all were saying, Jaden Daniels, yeah, it was a great season he had, but I'm still worried about him staying healthy. Obviously, we hope he can get back to full health. Obviously, we hope he can go out there and be an effective player for the Commanders, but that was the concern, and he's got beat up several times throughout this year. That injury did not look good. I hope he's all right, obviously. But, yeah, I think the Lions go in there and dominate this game start to finish. I'll lay 7.5. Finally, Sunday Night Football. Chargers-Steelers. Obviously, Bengals are off this week. You got your close eye on that game, Sunday Night Football, and Ravens and the Bears as well. Ravens 4.5-point favorites against Chicago in that game. So go Bears and go Chargers, obviously. But -2.5, I'll lay it with the Chargers here. I love Justin Herbert. That guy's a dog, right? He can run it, makes good decisions, huge arm, accurate throwing the football. I'm worried about the tackles, right? I think if you sat there and said T.J. Watt goes off this game, has 3 sacks, I go, well, you know, that's not great. And I think that's a possibility here. He lost both of his tackles, right? We saw Mahomes, you know, in the Super Bowl when he didn't have his tackles against Tampa Bay. How'd that go? Yeah, not well at all. So I'm kind of making the argument here for Pittsburgh, despite the fact I'm taking the Chargers. But I trust Herbert at home. It's not really much of a home field advantage. In fact, there's probably going to be more Steeler fans there. But I trust the quarterback in Justin Herbert. I trust the run game a little bit. They got the backup that's coming, and he's provided kind of a spark for him. I trust Harbaugh in this spot. I trust Jesse Minter in the defense. And, look, Pittsburgh's coming off a huge win, right? Now, if Pittsburgh wins this game, it might be wraps in the North, unfortunately. We all kind of expected after that Cincinnati game for Pittsburgh to kind of fall back down to earth and, you know, start losing some games. Next thing you know, they knock off the Colts. Oh, shoot, here they come. This would be a huge win if Pittsburgh picks it up. But I trust the quarterback. I trust the skill guys. I trust the run game. I trust the head coach, and I'll lay the 2.5 with the Los Angeles Chargers in this football game, Sunday Night Football. Here we go. Indiana, -14.5 against Penn State on the road. Iowa, +6.5 at home against Oregon. Texas Tech, -10 at home against BYU. Lions, -7.5 at Washington. And then finally the Chargers, -2.5 at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Our best bets of the weekend.